Welcome to my channel and welcome to SSCE Mathematics series from zero to Guru. In this video, I'm going to introduce laws of indices. In the last video, I explained what is indices. I explained indices as the plural form of index, and I explained how you can express number in index form. Likewise, how you can find the smallest number such that when you multiply that number with the number, you are going to have a perfect square. So in this video, I'm going to give you some of the laws of indices. So some of the rules guiding indices. Remember that I said when you have a raised power m, then you said such number is in index form. So where a is your base, your m is the index or power, pronounced as A superscript m, A raised power m, or A index m. Okay, now let us take it one by one. The first rule I'm going to take with you is multiplication rule. Multiplication rule of indices. That is not difficult. Take for example, if I have A raised power 2 multiplied by A raised power 3. According to what I explained in the previous video, when you have a squared, that is a raised power 2, that is you have to multiply a by itself how many times? So 2 times. So then I'm going to have a times a. Likewise, a raised power 3 means a we multiply itself how many times? 3 times times a. You understand now? You know this is equivalent to a square, this is equivalent to a raised power 3. So if you combine the two together, then I'm going to have what together? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a in 5 places. That is a multiplied by itself 5 times. That is equivalent to what? A raised power 5. So therefore, a squared multiplied by a raised power 3 is equal to a raised power 5. Likewise, let's say I still have something of this nature, a raised power 3 multiplied by a raised power 4. Similarly, you know that will give you a times a times a times a times a times a times a. So then if you count it together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I have a raised power 7. So that is a multiplied by itself how many times? 3 times. What do you observe? If you check the first example here, when a raised power 2 multiplied by a raised power 3, you will observe that I have a raised power 5. I have the same in base here, different power, but at the end of the day when I multiply, it is as if I'm adding these two indices together. So the index of this plus index of this. So that's why I have a raised power 5. It is the same thing as having a raised power 2 plus 3. Likewise, we check these two guys together. They both have the same base as well, but different index. But when I multiply them together, it's as if I'm adding the what? The index together. So which is also the same thing as a raised power 3 plus 4. In general, you don't need to stress yourself. So when you have the same base with different index and you have to multiply them together, so what you are going to do is to take one of the bases, they are the same actually, so then you add the index together. So a raised power m multiplied by a raised power n will give me what? A raised power m plus n. So for example, let's say I have example a raised power 11 multiplied by a raised power 2. You don't need to stress yourself. You don't need to multiply a by itself 11 times. According to this rule, then I'm going to have a multiplied by 11, a raised power 11 plus 2, which is equal to a raised power 13. So this rule works for positive index or negative index. In essence, if I still have s raised power minus 3 multiplied by s raised power 5, then I don't need to stress myself. I'm going to have s raised power minus 3 since I have the same index. Then I have multiplication here. This is going to be plus 5, so which is the same thing as s raised power 2. So what the rule is saying is that if you have the same index, so and you have to multiply them together, just take the index raised to power the sum of their power or the sum of their index. Okay, now the second rule, division rule. Division rule, it is not difficult as well. Okay, let's say I have a raised power 5 divided by a raised power 3. You know, a raised power 5 is the same thing as a times a times a times a in 5 uh, places, 5 times. So likewise divided by a raised power 3, that's what? A times a times a. Then you will observe that this guy cancel this, then I'm left with what? A times a, which is a squared. You understand? Likewise, we have a raised power 4 divided by a raised power 2. Then do the same thing as a raised power 4 divided by a raised power 2. A raised power 4 means a multiplied by itself how many times? 4 times. Divided by a squared, a multiplied by itself 2 times. So this guy will cancel 2 of these. So then I have a squared left. What do you observe? You will notice that when I'm dividing and I'm having the same base, it is same thing as taking one of the base and subtracting the index. You understand now? You know, if I say 5 minus 3 here is same thing as 2, right? Likewise, this is also the same thing as subtracting the 2 index, that is 4 minus 2, which is equal to a square. So in general, you don't need to stress yourself when you have the same index, the same base, and you have different index and you have to divide, then don't stress yourself, just take one of the bases, they are the same actually, then you subtract the index. So then you subtract the index. So let me give you an example to back it up. Example, let's say I have a raised power 5 divided by a raised power 4. That is very simple. You don't need to multiply a by itself 5 times here since they have the same base, just that the index is different and you have to divide them, and you are going to have a raised power 5 since I have division here minus 4. That's a raised power 1, which is a. So it is also true for negative index. For example, if I have d raised power minus 3 divided by d raised power minus 1, then this will give me what? D raised power minus 3. Since I have division, then it's going to be minus 1, and I'm going to have d minus 3 plus 1, which is equal to d raised power minus 2. So that's that. It is not difficult. Okay, now let us move to the next one. The next one is zero index. So that's zero index. Number 3, the next rule is zero index. Okay, let's say for example, if I have a raised power x divided by a raised power x. You know a raised power x is the same thing as a raised power x over a raised power s, which is 1 actually, right? So, but for this a raised power s divided by a raised power s, when you apply your rule 2, which is division rule, you know when you are dividing and you are having the same base, what you are going to do is to take one of the base and subtract the index. Then this gives me s minus x, which is 1. And what is s minus s? S minus s will give me 0, which is equal to 1. So in general, when you have any number raised to power 0, so with an exception of what? With an exception of 0, why a is not equal to 0. So with an exception of 0, you are going to have 1. For example, if I have 739 raised power 0, you don't need to stress yourself. Then you are going to have what? You are going to have 1. Even if you yourself, if you are raised to power 0, then we are going to have 1. You can try that out. So then the next rule I'm going to cover in this video is the negative index. At the same time, let's say I have a raised power 3 divided by a raised power 5. You know, if I want to apply, the rule I gave the other time, or before applying it, you know the same thing as a raised power 3 divided by a raised power 5. That gives a times a times a divided by a times a times a times a in 5 times, right? This guy will cancel 3 out of this. Then I'm going to have 1 divided by a square. Likewise, if you want to use the rule I taught you, that is the second rule, you know it's the same thing as, that is when you have the same base and different index and you have to divide, That's going to be A, then you are going to subtract the index. That's A raised power minus 2. You know, it's as if we did the same thing but different answer. In essence, when you have A raised power minus 2, it's same thing as A 1 divided by A squared. You understand now? So A raised power minus 2 is same thing as A raised power 1 squared. If you have A raised power minus 3, don't stress yourself. That is going to be what? 1 divided by A raised power 3. So in general, so when you have A raised power minus m, so then your negative, that's going to be 1 divided by A raised power m. That is the negative index. Give the reciprocal of the quantity. So give the reciprocal of the quantity. So let me give you an example to back it up here. For example, if I have 6 A raised power minus 4, you know this is going to be 6 multiplied by A raised power minus 4. That's 6 times, you know, by this rule is going to be 1 divided by A raised power 4. That's 6 divided by A raised power 4. You understand? Another one, let's say I have 27A minus 1 multiplied by 27, 1 minus A. Excuse me. So my pen is misbehaving. So minus 1 minus A. Okay, now if you want to solve this, you can apply your multiplication rule. So and this will give me 27 raised power A minus 1. Since I have the relationship between two of the bases to be what? To be product, then I'm going to have plus 1 minus A. And that's going to give me 27A minus 1 plus 1 minus A. So if you collect the like time, that's 27A minus A minus 1 plus 1. So that's 27 raised power 0. And 27 raised power 0, according to the 0 index, is going to give you 1. That's that. So far, I've explained, 4 out of the rules. The first one is the multiplication rule. That is when you have A raised power n multiplied by A raised power n. That is the same index, the same base with different index, and you have to multiply. Don't stress yourself. That's going to be A raised power n plus n. Likewise, when you have A raised power m divided by A raised power n, that's going to be A raised power n minus n. That is, we have to divide such that you have the same base. So what you are going to do is to take one of the base and you subtract the index. Likewise, the 0 index, that is A raised power 0, is going to give you 1 when your what? So A is not equal to 0. So then the last one, which is the negative index, that is when you have A raised power minus m, is going to give me 1 raised power 1 divided by A raised power m. So if you understand this video, please don't forget to like. If you've not subscribed to my channel before, please don't forget to do so and invite your friend to do so. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.